What's the word with the politicers? Monsta sat down with DamnHomie. OG been behind the wall since he was like 17. They gave him all day and all night, both life sentences. He spoke about one of his first write-ups when he got to the pen. He unalived his Celly. He was a 6-foot-pound, 300-gnome booty bandit. The police was pointing up to the cell, laughing, thinking he was getting taken advantage of. It was in for a rude awakening when it came for count time, though. DamnHomie asked him how he felt about the 50-50 yards and all the controversy surrounding them. He essentially said the same thing we've been hearing from a few other people. Them yards over there acted, bad or not. Shit, he said it's more violent on the 50-50 yards than it is the main line. Monsta did 17 years in solitary confinement. He was nominated for a Nobel Peace Prize, too. Similar to Tookie, he was nominated 5 times for Behind the Walls. That's major in the world of literature. For those that don't know, that's considered one of the most prestigious awards in the world. DamnHomie did her thing with this one. Per usual. Let's get into this piece, though.
Well, you gotta realize, again, I've been incarcerated since I was 16. At age 17, I came into prison. And stepping onto the prison yard, there wasn't any rehabilitation when I first came into the system. It was nothing but war and weird things going on in prison. The way I saw things from that point back then is I had to survive, and so I remember when I first came into prison at age 17 and seeing how, there was so much manipulation. There was just so many things that just triggered fear, and so I told myself from day one I would not be a victim, and so I remember one of my first write-ups was me, murdering my Celly. And what happened was that, back then they had booty bandits on the yard. And staff used to utilize booty bandits to regulate the young teens on the yard's behavior because they felt like we were disrespectful. And so this one booty bandit, he had his eyes set on a light-skinned dude with long hair and that he was targeting. And even though this youngster was, a downed individual, I knew for a fact if he went in there, he would be taken advantage of. So I volunteered. And so the minute I go up in there, back then I had no facial hair. I'm 17. The first thing he says is, "Oh, you have pretty eyes." I said, okay. Then he goes into explaining to me that every 7 days he has to relieve himself. Basically saying that every 7 days he's going to take advantage of it. And so I said, okay, and no less than 30 minutes later, he was dead. And I remember the whole process because as everything is happening, he runs to the door and he's hitting the door. And I remember the staff all huddled up, pointing at the cell, laughing, thinking I'm being taken advantage of. But in that moment, the tables were turned. And so after everything was done, I remember, sitting, waiting for the staff, and the staff comes by to count, and he sees him on the floor, he sees me, he sees him on the floor, and he says, unfucking believable. And so he presses the alarm, they cuff me up, take me out, they try to resuscitate him. He didn't come back. When I went to court, mind you, the way my history now is very extensive with being a warrior, his history was extensive of raping his Celly. This man was a 36-year-old, 300-something pound, 6-foot-something booty bandit. And so they knew for a fact I shouldn't have not been in the cell with that man. And so that case ended up being dropped. And so my mentality from then on was, I'm going to be a champion. I'm going to be the best of the best. And that's what I became. I became a co-warrior from prison riots to the fights on the group yards, the gladiator fights, to, everything. That was my life. I lived and breathed this, which caused me to spend 17 years in solitary confinement. I'm not one of those individuals who comes on here without credentials. My whole write-ups show you everything. Everything that I say, I meant and I lived. And so my mentality before then, it wasn't about progressing or being anybody of substance. It was me going to die in here. They gave me 4 consecutive life sentences plus 74 years. They gave a kid that. And they expected me to program. I didn't see life beyond, me dying in here. So I didn't care about programming. I cared about surviving. And that was my only motivation back then. I've done all my time on a level 4 GP general population mainline, active mainline. For myself, my history is so extensive that they've never given me the override. They've never given me that consideration. Mind you, I've had a long term of positive programming, but they always fall back on my history. When I say that my history is very extensive, it was very extensive. Like I said, I have the paperwork to show it.
So being on a level 4, what are your thoughts on people going to 50/50s, SNY, EOP yards?
Okay, so in my own opinion, I'm gonna say this: being on an SNY yard is, to me, stupid. To me, being on a 50/50 yard is also stupid, and I'm gonna tell you why. For one, SNY yards and 50/50 yards is equally violent as more violent than general population mainline. SNY yards, they drop out from general population mainlines to go over there because they're seeking protection. Then they go over there and join a whole nother gang. Then become even more violent over there than they was on the general population. That's one. Two, when it comes to a 50/50 yard, it's really disappointing because here it is, those same individuals who went SNY, they did that because they were afraid of something. And for a general population person to program with an individual that's an SNY, which creates the 50/50, to me it makes no sense based on the fact that these are the same individuals that you were sending over there. And not just that, these individuals, it's kind of like you basically saying, you know what, I'm going SNY without saying I'm going SNY. And so that's my opinion when it comes to a 50/50 yard. The EOP yard, those are for individuals who have mental illnesses. And if they have a mental illness, let them stay over there with those individuals who have mental illness. They don't need to be on a general population mainline because, honestly, they will only cause more problems for the general population. Here it is. We're over here maintaining a positive program as much as we can. Don't get me wrong. Life be lifing. We have our situation, but we have established the end hostilities, which I'm a part of. Like I said, I spent 17 years in solitary confinement. This is the reason why I was nominated with a number of other young, older kings and elders for the Nobel Peace Prize because we came together to end hostilities. So when they kicked us out of solitary confinement and we came to these mainlines, what we did was we were able to establish a uniform understanding to prevent as much senseless violence amongst each other so that it wouldn't cross those color lines. So nowadays, on the general population, mainline, especially level 4, it's rare that you will see a riot between different tribes because we deal with things ourselves now, and so we function differently. So if you're on an EOP mainline, an EOP yard, and you come over here, you're going to bring that toxicity over to our yard, and that's going to be unacceptable. Because again, we program. We're here to get out of prison. We're not here to stay in prison.
Monsta got a cold story. I'm sure his book is a happy read. It was either a therapy session for him or some reminders he ain't want while he was writing this book. DamnHomie helped him unpack it little by little in this interview. I wouldn't mind hearing from him again to be real. She definitely got to do a follow-up interview. Let him tell a few of them good stories. He been pushing on the main line the whole time, nothing less than GP. After the first demonstration he laid down, Monsta said he was going to be a champion. He told himself it's victory, no defeats. Everybody ain't cut from that cloth, man. Going head first in them battles without blinking, performing when the pressure up. You gonna meet ops from the other side you got respect for, and homies from your side that you lose respect for. It just get like that in them battle-tested situations. This brother got a lot of logic. He can loan something out, man. Monsta and DamnHomie spoke on Be Brave and a handful of other things in this interview. Y'all go over there to her platform, check the rest of the interview out and sub up. Political street views? No, fake news.